The Empire celebrated crushing Earth, until human reinforcements arrived. Admiral Zexthar stood on the command deck of the Eternal Dominion, watching the final embers of Earth's orbital defense platforms drift through space like dying stars. The blue-green world below showed scars of the bombardment, great brown wounds where cities once thrived, smoke plumes rising like funeral pyres into the atmosphere. "Send the victory transmission to High Command," Zexthar commanded, his four arms gesturing with practiced authority. "Earth has fallen. The human resistance is broken." The bridge crew of the Caltharian Empire erupted in triumphant clicks and hisses. 3 standard cycles of warfare had led to this moment. The humans, those strange bipedal creatures who had dared to refuse the Empire's generous offer of subjugation, were finally defeated. Captain Vormesh approached, his scaled hide gleaming under the bridge lights. "Admiral, intercepted human communications suggest their leadership has been eliminated. The few surviving military installations are going dark." Zexthar allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Empire had conquered 12 species across 4 spiral arms, but none had proven as stubbornly defiant as these humans. They fought with a ferocity that bordered on madness, using tactics that defied conventional military doctrine. Where other species surrendered when facing overwhelming odds, humans seemed to fight harder. Curious creatures, Zexthar mused, watching another human ship explode against their shields. They show such promise, yet wasted on futile resistance. The celebration continued for 2 planetary rotations. Victory parades filled the corridors of every Caltharian vessel. The Empire's war machine, stretched thin across multiple fronts, could finally redirect resources to more pressing conquests. It was during the 3rd rotation that sensor technician Yilnar noticed the anomaly. "Admiral?" Yilnar's voice carried an unusual tremor. "I'm detecting multiple hyperspace signatures, large ones." Zexthar's secondary eyes narrowed. "Reinforcements from the Outer Rim territories?" "No, sir. The signatures. They're human." The Yarp bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Zexthar felt his blood chill. According to their intelligence, Earth represented the entirety of human civilization. They were a young species confined to a single world with limited spacefaring capability. Impossible. Our scouts confirmed Earth was their homeworld and only significant population center. "Contacts emerging from hyperspace now, Admiral." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that defied everything the Caltharians thought they knew about humanity. Ships emerged from the void, not the crude, hastily constructed vessels they'd been fighting, but sleek predators of chrome and steel. Their hulls bore no flags or insignia, just serial numbers and names in stark human script. USMC Leatherneck, UNSC Iwo Jima, HMS Indefatigable, Admiral Nimitz. "By the 7 moons," Vormesh whispered. "There are hundreds of them." The fleet stretched, across space in perfect formation. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, and something else. Ships so massive they created their own gravitational distortions, bristling with weapon systems that made Caltharian technology look primitive. A transmission cut through their communications array, broadcast on all frequencies. The voice was calm, measured, and utterly human. "This is Fleet Admiral Chen of the United Earth Colonial Defense Force. You are trespassing in sovereign human space and have committed acts of war against Earth. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawing from this system." Zexthar felt his confidence evaporating. "Colonial Defense Force? What colonies?" The answer came not in words, but in the form of additional hyperspace signatures. More ships arrived, these bearing different markings. New Geneva Colonial Navy, Proxima Mining Consortium Defense Fleet, Alpha Centauri Expeditionary Force, Admiral. Yilnar's voice was barely a whisper now. "Preliminary scans indicate technological capabilities far exceeding our own. Power readings are substantial." Zexthar realized the magnitude of their error. Earth wasn't humanity's only world. It was their nursery. While the Empire had been fighting what they assumed was humanity's entire civilization, they had been battling the equivalent of children with improvised weapons. The 30-second deadline expired. What followed, wasn't a battle, it was an education. Human weapons tore through Caltharian shields like tissue paper. Their ships moved with impossible precision, executing maneuvers that should have liquefied their crews. Most terrifying of all was their coordination. The humans fought not as individual ships, but as a single implacable organism. The Eternal Dominion shuddered under impact after impact. Zexthar watched helplessly as his mighty fleet, which had conquered a dozen worlds, was systematically dismantled by an enemy they had underestimated beyond measure. "Sir," Vormesh reported, his voice hollow, "we've lost 60% of our vessels. The humans, they're not even using their largest ships." Through the smoke and debris, Zexthar saw the truth. The massive vessels hung back like sleeping giants, their weapons silent. The humans were making a point. They could destroy the Caltharian fleet with their escorts alone. Another transmission crackled through the chaos. "Admiral Zexthar of the Caltharian Empire. This is Admiral Chen. I'm told you believed Earth was defenseless. I'm told you celebrated our defeat. I want you to understand something before you die. Earth wasn't our military headquarters. It was our origin point. You attacked our birthplace, our history, our families." The human admiral's voice carried no anger, which somehow made it more terrifying. "You killed 3 billion civilians. You burned our museums, our art, our culture. You made this personal." The remaining Caltharian ships began breaking formation, their crews panicking. Zexthar watched his empire's invincible war machine collapse in minutes. "But here's what you really need to understand," Admiral Chen continued. "We've been expanding for 2 centuries. We've colonized 400 worlds. We've built fleets in a dozen systems. What you fought at Earth was our historical preservation society and a few orbital defense platforms. The Eternal Dominion shields finally failed." Zexthar felt the deck plating buckle beneath his feet. "You wanted to know what humanity was capable of when cornered and desperate. Now you get to learn what we're capable of when we're angry and prepared." As his flagship died around him, Zexthar's final thought was a warning he would never live to deliver. They hadn't conquered humanity's military. They had made humanity's military notice them. The Empire had celebrated crushing Earth. They never got the chance to celebrate anything else.